on-time trash pickup, even at your house, I believe you mentioned not long ago, approving building permits faster. There's a lot on your desk, so thanks for the time here. But what's the priority for you? What do you tackle first?
Public safety will be our number one priority, followed closely by infrastructure, quality of life issues such as garbage pickup, just really making a large city work better, more efficient, more responsive. Public safety, these tough and smart on crime, not only how it shows up in data, but also the perception of the public. We have a great city. Houston is special. And quite frankly, I think how Houston goes is how the state of Texas will go. So we have a great city, great people, but we have just neglected some maintenance and some city services, and we have broken water lines, partly caused by the drought, but just the aging of our infrastructure, and our streets, quite frankly, are probably at an all-time worst condition. So got a lot of work to do. Our permitting system takes way too long. So, I had a tough decision to make when I was asked by Houstonians to leave Austin in the Senate and come back to Houston. I had to weigh where I could be most effective. I'm a public servant, have been one my entire adult life. So I weighed where I could be most effective. I made a decision to come back and run for mayor, and got a strong mandate to use my experience and contacts, work across the aisle, and get things done. So I'm excited. It's a lot on my plate, but I'm structuring a really good team, and I expect the public to hold me accountable.
Mayor, let's talk city spending here for a moment. Houston, as you know, spends a couple of $100 million more than it actually takes in every year. You've talked about auditing every department, but do you expect cuts to city services or any city staff layoffs to help make up for that shortfall?
We won't know until we see what the shortfall is. The realization is that the city's operating now off of federal ARP money. Actually paid our firefighters with one-time federal funding, which obviously was not good management. Until we get in and audit, we won't know exactly what a ongoing shortfall is, but the city has had shortfalls for many years. The books were balanced by selling city assets, properties, one-time income, and we just can't continue to do that. I spend a lot of time on financial matters. We're going to look to new sources, such as partnering with the county. Our TERS and management districts are going to have to assume some responsibility for their services, like infrastructure and public safety. Obviously, our mass transit system, Metro, will be looked to help support the infrastructure that they depend on. So we're just going to have a coming together, obviously working across the aisle in Austin with the Land Commission office to get our share of Harvey recovery funding, look to the federal government for infrastructure funding. We're just going to be very responsible. We're going to be very transparent. I don't think the public in general realizes the financial condition of the city of Houston, but I'm going to share all the information that I receive and give them an accurate status report.
How would you describe the financial situation there in the city, Mayor?
I would say that we're having projected shortfalls probably in the year 25, 26 for certain. And it'll be the same shortfall we've had for the last, as long as anyone can remember, quite frankly. And they've budgeted by one-time selling a property and other bumps from the COVID funding from the feds. And so it's not very reliable. And, we're going to make sure everything is very efficient. I got an email from a Houstonian today. Why don't you just go across the board and cut 10%? Well, we've looked at that. The problem is the huge share of the budget is fire and police. So you don't want to cut it. So, it's not simple, but I'm going to be very transparent, do the best I can, cut out conflicts of interest. We do waste money on projects that look like they're vendor driven. And we're going to be very transparent and honest with the public. And then we can all make a grown-up decision. What kind of city do we want to leave for our children and grandchildren? I'm confident that if we honest and cut out waste, conflicts of interest, and then let folks know that public safety is our highest priority, go ask for additional funds for public safety. I looked at Fort Worth Criminal Justice District. We look at other options, and we'll be responsible.
Firefighters, of course, have been making most of the news since you took office at the first of the year here, been without a contract, of course, for 7 years. You said that you would drop the city's lawsuit against the firefighters union. Of course, you did that and negotiate a deal. How long do you expect that to take? And do you think that you can do something your predecessor didn't?
Well, certainly I can do something my predecessor didn't do, because we're going to sit down with the firefighters and we're going to go to arbitration. In fact, we're meeting as we talk. The attorneys are putting some guardrails in place and trying to identify our differences. It's affected our public safety. We're having a very difficult time attracting fire cadets because they don't know what the contract that they would work under would present. So we're going to work out something with firefighters. It'll be fair to the taxpayers and all Houstonians, and it's going to be fair to firefighters. You can't, in my judgment, have the community that we want while you're fighting your firefighters in court. It's affected their morale. It's affected their performance. And for sure, we're losing firefighters to other jurisdictions right after they come out of the cadet class. So we're training them, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on training cadet, and then they go to surrounding communities and go to work. It's just a broken system.
How long do you think it would take? Any rough idea on getting this thing hammered out?
It's going to be a few months.
That doesn't seem like it's that long when you look at the last 7 or 8 years of this.
Well, what's going to happen is, and within a few months, we're going to agree or agree to disagree. And I'm very optimistic. I've worked with firefighters my entire career. I represent firefighters as mayor, but also have a responsibility to Houstonians that it's fair to the taxpayer and Houstonians. But we're in this position because Houstonians passed arbitration and collective bargaining for the firefighters. So the public's tired of the fire issues being on the front page. I'm tired of it, and for sure the firefighters. So we just have to sit down as grown-ups and work out our differences, and the city will benefit.
2 last questions, Mayor. I want to ask you about the state takeover of Houston ISD. You're not over the school district, of course, but you certainly wield a lot of influence. The superintendent, Mike Miles, used to be in Dallas. He congratulated you once you won. But what do you expect your relationship to be like with Superintendent Miles? And secondly, how do you think the city can help speed along reforms that are being made there at the school district?
Well, we need to do what's best interests in the best interest of the children. It's happened. The TEA is here. Miles is here. We need to have a close dialogue. You're right. The city doesn't run schools, but if we can share resources, the libraries are a real issue because he transitioned them to behavior locations, although that's only for one classroom. But anyway, without going into that controversy, any way we can assist. I'm totally of the opinion that how HISD goes is how the city of Houston goes. People are moving to the suburbs quite often. They work in Houston. They live in the suburbs to get to good schools, and also now to improve public safety in those suburbs. So it was a decision of the legislature. The Harris County delegation actually voted for this process. It's happened, and I think we need to support the children and get the state out as quick as possible after we've had some significant improvements. So, you know, the schools were broken. I could go on and on what caused the
Sure.
process to be created. It was some horrible education results, some conflicts of interest, and that needs to all be cleaned up and return the schools to the elected board, which I support.
Mayor, last thing I'm curious about, how did 50 years in Austin prepare you to lead City Hall?
Well, I have a lot of valuable experience. I've worked with some great leaders and colleagues, and you know, I've benefited from the experience in public service, but more importantly, the public's benefited. I have a clear track record on most issues, certainly public safety, and being a problem solver, a can-do state senator, and I know I have a lot of support to help me be successful for Houston from across the aisle. So experience, contacts, and a can-do attitude will serve Houston.
Mayor, congratulations. You got a lot of work to do, so good luck to you, sir.
Yeah, let's stay in touch.